Hello, YouTube. Probably won't be able to finish all of that. Drinking my fucking self-death. Whatever. This is gonna be a video on Alex Jones. Why not? Anyways, it's going to be on Alex Jones and InfoWars and them lying about the French Revolution. And there's a report up on the Infowars.com. They're literally condemning the French Revolution or the overthrow of the monarchy and feudalism in France and the overthrow of theocracy in France and the establishment of liberalism, pretty much, and really what helped create the modern era, that in the American Revolution that Jones says he's for. But I mean, hey, you're against any kind of revolution or violence. I suppose you're against the American Revolution too, because that's what that was. You, the people that run around all day with guns on your shirt, shooting at shit, and you're telling me, goddamn it, you're against violence? No, I think you were. I'm gonna. Give me a minute. No, I think what you were for, or I think what you were against, is the overthrowing of a conservative government that had exceeded its limits of power, had become incredibly corrupt, a society that was in decline and corrupting itself incredibly, an empire that was spinning them into bankruptcy, an overtaxed, out of date system, and incompetent, unpopular rulers that the fucking people didn't agree with. Gee, wonder, does that remind you of anything else? And or anywhere else, namely right now in America, because it's very similar to that. And I want to make clear, I am in no way supporting violence at this point in history. I'm not saying that we should do what they did. I don't think we should be violent. I don't think we should have any kind of violent revolution. I'm not supporting that. Making that clearer. Yeah, just troll the shit out of me with your spam. Anyways, the point I was making, and again, this is not going to be a good video. I'm one reason to spam, just that alone. But I just thought something should be said about this. But he says that, you know, they could have simply kind of rated it out and rated for the French Empire, the French monarchy, and that system to collapse. It's like England did, where the queen or the king becomes somebody on a postage stamp, like supposedly happened in England. And by the way, that contradicts things he said before, because he said before many a time he has accused the Queen of England of all kinds of shit. So he's pretty much admitting to you he lied, or at least, you know, he's not telling you what he thinks. But he said they could have done that and it would have been a peaceful revolution. Well, I would like to remind you the Victorian era came after this. The peak of the English Empire and of that Victorian English society did not happen then. It happened long after France had already overthrew their system and was on the verge or the direction of modern society and of liberalism. England had to go through a Victorian era that was actually a repressive system. In spite of what they tried to sell off to the public, the Victorian era was an incredibly repressive system. It's where our modern education system began, where it would teach children barely enough of the skills they needed to know to work for mass corporations and work in many cases in sweatshops. And they had child labor. Most people don't know about that or want you to know about that. And you had females prostituting themselves on the side of a road for a quarter, literally a quarter, in bad neighborhoods and situations, where you had places, for example, called the Frying Pan, that where you literally had homeless people and bombs laying all around dying, and no one cared about them, and they weren't giving anyone any kind of fucking assistance, social living assistance. And like I said, they were killing people for stealing loaves of bread, and they were hanging them in the public square. That was happening in the 1800s, long after France got rid of their problem. England's problem was this now starting to get worse. So I would like to remind you of that. And by the way, genital mutilation and or infant circumcision also came out of England in the 1800s. And of course, in America, you had Harvey Kellogg, the same idiot who created the cereal, like I've talked about before, promoting the shit. And it was done to prevent masturbation, to lower sexual sensation. That was the entire reasoning for it. And all the bullshit about it having anything to do with STDs or preventing any kind of sexually transmitted disease, that has been exposed as an absolute, complete fucking lie. And we know now that to be a lie because, and by the way, I mean, just recently, AIDS and HIV hit one of Palestine's poorest neighborhoods. And of course, in Palestine, they do mutilate their children's genitals, their boars, and in some cases, the girls too. And guess what? They still got fucking AIDS because of the poor neighborhood. And they're also Islamic, and they probably have more strict than in many places. I mean, sexual customs, like in terms of not being allowed to have sex and stuff like that. I doubt you have gay people running around. You don't have many gay parades that you bitch about. And of course, they upload yet another anti-gay post of bashing the gay community, bashing transgender people, finding some weird random news story somewhere on the fucking planet where a transgender person acted erratically, and then using that as an example of what transgender people do. Bashing and attacking transgender people, that is what Alex Jones is fucking about. And that is why I don't support him anymore, and why I think he's a fucking crook. And again, at the end of the day, what does any of this have to do with helping you? And that is not what happened in France. That is not what happened in the American Revolution. That was not why America, where we are now, why we have the Constitution, Bill of Rights, and Declaration of Independence. You wouldn't have a damn bit of that if you waited for England to die on the vine. It never would have happened. Ireland didn't get their fucking independence until the 1970s. So, he can take that fucking news report and shove it up his fat ass. So, I guess that's that. P666.